Seeing that she could not come forward, or she did not come, she refused to come forward, as you said, did your panel think it necessary to do its own independent investigation?
Yes, we did. We did. And when she did not appear on that day, we also extended the opportunity for her to appear.
So in your investigation, what did you find?
I'm coming to that, sir. When she did not appear on that day, we also gave her another opportunity to appear. We said, for the 2 weeks that was given to the committee, she can appear on any day of her choice before the expiration of that 2 weeks. She did not take that as well. She was setting hurdles before us.
Let's now, what were the findings you got from you?
We went into the petition and we discovered that, okay, you said, you know, the governor accumulated debts in excess of 500 billion. We discovered that to be a lie. We discovered that to be a lie.
What did you find?
Now, don't forget that the governor cannot borrow a penny without the approval of the House of Assembly. So these facts were in our own domain even before she wrote her own petition. We know exactly how much we approve for the governor to borrow in terms of bonds, in terms of commercial loan. The only thing the House may not know is the extent of the exposure of the executive on contractual obligations. And, you know, we were supplied with that information, that the debt of the state, again, if you look at the statistics of the Debt Management Office, Osun is not even on among the topmost 5 indebted states. The highest indebted state, according to that statistics, is Lagos State by 240 billion, followed by Bayelsa State with 167 billion, followed by Cross River State with 113, followed by Rivers 112, followed by Delta 97. So if we are not in that category, it just shows you that our exposure in terms of what we approve is far less than 100 billion. And then somebody is now claiming that it's in excess of 500 billion. Forgetting that there was no cover borrowed by the executive that was not approved by the House of Assembly.
But you also said something. What you might not know is the extent of exposure of the executive.
On contractual obligations.
So what did you find on that angle? Now,
we discovered that it is not up to what they are claiming. She did not even speak about contractual obligations.
So what is it? What's the exposure level?
On contractual obligations, yes. We know that there are outstanding projects like the dual carriageway from Bogor Junction to Akoda that is ongoing, that they have not finished paying on. We know that there is another project from Oshogbo to Kuala Bandri, another dual carriage that is ongoing, that they have not finished the payment. We also know that there are other projects scattered across the states that they have paid part of the money, but they have not completed the payment.
How much?
I cannot put the figure together totally now, but I know it's far, far less than what they are saying.
But you can't put it together.
It's not in the region. It's not even close to it.
How do we know?
Yeah,
you can't tell us.
That's our finding.
What is your finding? Tell us.
The one we approved, I've told you, in terms of debt exposure, in terms of bond issuance and commercial loan, is far, far less than 100 billion.
So of the over 30-page petition, those are the key things.
Now, she also accused the governor of not employing up to 20,000 OES members, and that he was paying them stipends, 10,000, that is not a living wage. Well, the governor made it clear that OES was a volunteer project designed to take the youths off the streets and to instill and inculcate in them the value of community service. That's the essence of OES. And that, we've done 2 batches now. At the beginning of every batch, they will start with 20,000. And as they all get employed in one place or the other, the number goes down. So it's not as if, the number is not up to 20,000. They will always start with 20,000. But it's a volunteer service, and you are allowed to go for interviews and get employment elsewhere anytime you come across one. So we discovered that, there's no issue on that. Then he also said that, some of the other issues are that there are no projects on the ground to show for the huge amount of money borrowed. And we discovered that that's another lie, that there are projects all over the place. In fact, she contradicted herself by saying that, some projects are abandoned. If there's nothing on the ground, then there will be nothing to abandon. So we know we represent each of the constituencies in the state. We know all the projects in our constituencies. So to say that there's nothing on the ground to show for the money borrowed It's another fallacy.
So are you saying then, first of all, I've listened to the first ground upon which you say that thing should never have been written, petition should never have been written, the fact that she's a serving judge in the state and she's also a part of government. But, you know, some people might say that we're talking checks and balance here, and if we're talking checks and balance, it's up to the different arms of government to be able to check themselves. Did your body also consider that? Because it's also very instructive that she wrote to the State House of Assembly to be able to check the executive arm, as it were, as you have a duty to, and perhaps the judiciary also has its own role as well. Did you see that perspective?
That's exactly why we decided to take on the petition. We said, well, she wrote it for altruistic reasons. You know, that, you know, if she's doing it for the progress of the state, we should forget technicality. You know, whether she has gone against the, you know, judicial code of ethics for judicial officers or not, that we should look at the substance of the petition. That's why we went into the petition. You know, I agree with you what you've just said, that it is the interest of the state that is important and not, you know, the technicality surrounding the petition. That's why we decided to look into the substance.
No, I did not say the interest of the state. I was looking at it from the perspective of the balance of powers and the fact that, you know, the three arms of government exist to check themselves. So if one is, you know, being excessive in how it's carrying out its functions, it is the responsibility of the other arm of government to be able to ensure that.
Makwe, I did not write the code of conduct for judicial officers that says judges should only be seen and not be hard on issues. That they should, as much as possible, control their emotions and not make statements on political issues or issues that are on the front burner.
So that is on the
because
I
didn't write that code of ethics.
What's political about the, as she says, coupled the refusal to pay the running costs and to pay judges and magistrates their housing and medical allowances? What's political about it?
Now, the point is this. Even here, I am sure you cannot write on behalf of this organization. It is your CEO that will write on behalf of channels. Look, she has a chief judge. If she's complaining on behalf of judicial officers,
no, that's just one of the
duty of the chief judge. No, she can always route that letter or that advice through the chief judge.
No, but that's just one of the things that she raised. I'm saying that what is political about that?
The point I've just told you, I did not write the code of ethics for judicial officers. And judges are supposed to conduct, you know, themselves in a way that will not drag them into the arena of conflict.
So that is going back to the
technicality.
That's going back to the technicality of it.
Yes, but we did not look at that. We consider the petition in spite of that.
You're still looking at it because all the time, I mean, I do recall that the speaker, when he finished, you know, summarized it and said a judge should never have written this, that people are complaining about how a judge could have written this. So it was saying that much as you tried not to look at it, it was saying that it still overshadowed what it was that you did.
To me, that's just one of the collateral effects of the petition. That, look, we will be setting a dangerous precedent in the judiciary if this is not handled properly. It's unheard of, and it is unprecedented. This is the first time. We've asked senior, you know, people in the judiciary, jurists, very, very senior, you know, ones, former, you know, JSC,
has it ever
Justice
happened?
of the Supreme Court.
Can I ask a question?
And it is unheard of, it is unprecedented in the history of the judiciary for a serving judge to break the judicial code of conduct, get herself involved in judicial rascality of this magnitude.
So that's what you define it. That's you think it's judicial rascality?
Of this magnitude. It's a type of judicial rascality.
Okay.
It is.
We'll come back and examine some part of this and conclude on it. But for now, we'll go over to Anne Mawadou for another look at the headlines.
Thanks a lot. Now, President Muhammadu Buhari has charged all federal government agencies to harmonize the collection and the use of biometric information rather than duplicating each other's efforts. The president said this after the chairman of the National Population Commission, Eze Duru, briefed him on what will be required to conduct a national census next year, 10 years after the last exercise. He wondered why each agency will separately gather its own biometric data when they could easily obtain the information from a related agency. The president continues to make moves to crack down on terrorism and corruption in Nigeria As regards the latter, President Buhari is putting the Ministry of Finance on the fire to explain what the foreign loans obtained for real projects were used for. This came after the president discovered that the foreign loans in question were moved from one project to another. Out of over $1 billion, which formed a substantial part of the loan from the Chinese Exim Bank, only $400 million remains with the Ministry of Finance. Meanwhile, President Buhari is not leaving anything to chance as he begins to reposition the anti-corruption campaign. While to strengthen the process, the Presidential Advisory Committee, headed by Professor Itse Sage, a prominent professor of law and the civil rights activist, have been appointed. In Ferguson now, prosecutors have charged a man for assaulting officers during events marking the first anniversary of the killing of unarmed black teenager Michael Brown. The suspect, Tyrone Harris, was critically wounded in a gun battle with police on Sunday. Now, Michael Brown's death triggered a wave of demonstrations in the U.S. over the issue of excessive police force by officers. And those are the headlines at this hour. It's back to you guys.
Well, thank you, Anne. And that's, about this petition, you know, there were many who were of the opinion that in the first instance, Osun State House of Assembly was never going to impeach the governor. Many give the experience that, look, House of Assemblies, most of them in the states, are always beholden to the state governor, and as such, it was always going to be a long shot for them to go ahead and impeach the governor, because many even ask, in the first instance, did Osun State House of Assembly approve the salaries for this year, for instance?
Oh, yes. In the budget, we did the budget, we approved the budget. So, and you have the recurrent expenditure in the budget, so which salary is part of. So we did.
Let's get the views of counsel to the judge, Mr. Ogunlefe, SAN. He joins us this morning to react to what you said.